It's a little bit young, so it's very vinegary. Cheers to a quickie on masculine and feminine roles.
Just their rough opinions. Cheers. Right off the bat, you're pretty much just going to hear me regurgitate everything I just told you in the car.
Yeah, that's the thing with all of these episodes. It's always like the reason we started this, I said in the intro, is that like you and I are always going off having like really good conversations on our own, and I'm always thinking like people should hear this. And so then every time, so it happened last week after we did the episode on pristine quality.
Yes.
Then we were in the kitchen making dinner and going off about this was a topic I want to do next. And then I brought it up when we were leaving the kombucha place today, and you were like, I have nothing to say on that. And so then I started saying like stuff, and then of course you had a lot to say on it. So we basically had this whole conversation in the car. So hopefully we can come up with some new talking points. It sounds natural.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to offend some people. So.
Yeah, me too. Because the biggest thing with like
If you don't like it, turn it off.
masculine, feminine roles, the reason I even wanted to talk about it is because I still feel so weird and grateful that I basically ditched all what I believed when I was younger and growing up. And now I'm like so traditional. But like that even still makes me cringe saying like I'm a traditional wife. I think it's hard because like growing up,
I basically never cared. So.
well that's the thing though, you would even say what you were attracted to me, a lot of it had to do with the fact that I had my own career full on going. I was doing my own thing. That is the exact thing I'm saying is like we were sold this narrative that it's not acceptable to grow up and want to be a wife and a mom. And like instinctually, I remember like whenever they would ask like, what do you want to be when you grow up? The only thing I actually was confident on was like, I want to be a mom. And I always knew I wanted to get married. I never cared about like career. So I always was like, what career can I do that would kind of fit into that? Because you have to have a career. And how could I also be like a mom? Because that's the only thing I really want to do. Yeah. But it's like, it was very frowned upon to aspire to just that. Because it was like, no, you have to have your own thing going for you. And I do get that. Like, I get that whole idea of you can't just like float around and wait for someone. Yeah. Because then it's like putting the power in someone else's hands. Mm-hmm. So you have to live your own life. But it's taken so far. And I think there's been a lot of like negative effects of that.
I don't know, because like I was raised in a family where my dad was the one who worked, and my mom stayed at home with us. Everything was, great, like in our childhood, like that. So like I always grew up thinking that's what I wanted. Like it just felt natural.
It's funny because I grew up the same way, and I always knew like that's not okay. Yeah. Basically, like my mom wasn't doing enough, which is like not true. My dad didn't think that. My mom didn't ever say anything like that. But somewhere, I don't know, public school, somewhere I got the message that like aspiring to that is not enough.
Probably public school. But so like growing up that way, I never like fully thought like that's what I need. Like I know people personally to this day that are like, the women belong in the fucking kitchen, get in there and do the laundry. Like they, I've never been that. And like, I was always attracted to like, like not like an independent woman like that, like a woke term, but like in a way where it's like, I wanted someone who, even if like you did, like you only spent a little bit of time, but you spent enough time providing for just yourself and surviving on your own, that like I didn't want someone who was going to do that forever and not be in that like, in your, what you're basically, fuck anybody who's going to get offended by it, but like not fall into like where you naturally feel you should be. Like not naturally fall into like that mother space or whatever. But I just wanted someone who spent some time there to understand what it was like to have a career and provide for yourself and
Yeah.
the things you care about. And you spent enough time doing that. You had captains, so like you knew what it was like. Like it's a dog eat dog world, you know. You understood. You did that. So then, I guess like my thought, my selfish thought behind it would be like once you and me are in a spot where I'm the one leaving the house and going out and doing this, there would be a little bit more understanding and I guess maybe appreciation. It sounds fucked up saying it that way, but
But that's what I'm saying, because of course there are people that are extreme, and that's like where this all came from.
yeah,
Because people were extreme of like women shouldn't even be allowed to work, and like obviously I don't agree with that. But
yeah, no,
I'm
that's insane.
But it's like now it's hard to talk about because when you want to fall into your natural, instinctual, what feels safest and healthiest, now it's frowned upon and criticized, and like
Yeah,
you're misogynistic or you're oppressed if you're just in your natural flow.
yeah,
But I think people being so disconnected from that natural flow is what's creating a lot of health problems, and that's kind of like the road I want to lead into. But it is weird to talk about, and I see the like line that you have to walk of like, obviously you should be allowed and you should be able to say what you're saying without it being offensive, because it's not. It's like all about communication, and I think that's the piece too with me is you always told me where you stand on things, and I loved it, but at the same time I didn't believe you, because I would be like, I just feel like if I do stop working and bringing in my own money as consistent, and like, so say like even if I'm bringing in money but it's not like I'm waking up every day and going to work the way you are,
yeah.
I felt like you would somehow have resentment towards
That right
me.
there is also the downfall of the fact that you did spend time. This is what I would say to anybody. The fact that you did spend time providing for yourself, that's the downfall, in my opinion. Got to clarify everything, but that is a downfall of a woman spending time in that position because you have a hard time wrapping your mind around the fact that your boyfriend, fiance, husband, whoever, like feels best about himself, waking up whatever crazy hours, working crazy hours, doing all this, doing all that. You have a hard time wrapping your mind around it because when you do it, you hate it. You hate every day of it. You it feels unnatural and you're just constantly searching for a reason to convince yourself or that you're doing the right thing, that you're doing everything that you should be doing. This is what it means to be a strong, independent human being providing for myself. It feels unnatural for you. So it's hard for you to wrap your mind around the fact that, even though I may have a terrible day and it may suck waking up at 1 in the morning and working a 16-hour day, it may suck, but like I feel good at the end of it because I know what it's for. And that's why I do it all the time. So that is the downfall of,
Yeah, it was hard for me to like. So I chose a career that is like as feminine as it can get, and it's so crazy to me that it's sold to women who want to be mothers, that like, oh, you got to be a teacher because you'll have the same schedule as your kids, and it's the best because then you can like be on the same schedule as your kids. Yeah. And once I started doing that, I was like, this is terrible because I'm having like heartache just leaving my dog all day. Mm-hmm. How am I going to leave my baby and then child all day to spend all day with 30 other children and then come home and have like no energy left for your own? I just knew that like this whole career is a scam. It is not conducive to motherhood. Yeah, of course, maybe it's better than like a corporate job or like it's better than a lot of other jobs. I get that. But it's still very unnatural, and it's a lie when they say like, oh, being a teacher, you get to like be in your feminine mothering role. Like it's just not true. Kids. That's what I'm saying. It's not true at all because those are not your kids. Yes, you care about your students, but not the same way as like even I cared about my dog, and like I wanted to like really be there with him and baby him, and that can sound dumb to people, but that's how I feel. Like I want to be home. Yeah. That's just how I feel. And I had a very hard time accepting that. So even when I moved in with you and we like got married, I still like would not allow myself to believe you that like you actually are wanting me to not be sitting on my laptop all day working.
Yeah.
Because as a woman, I would be so upset if I was waking up crazy. If I was doing your schedule and you were sitting at home all day, going on walks, enjoying your day with the dogs or the kids eventually, I would be so upset and jealous and mad that I can't like, understand that like you would actually want that for me. And I was always afraid like if I'm not bringing in money as well, doing my own thing, then there might be resentment in the future. And I think that's what brought me to this conversation of like leaning into your masculine and feminine roles, because I'm only just now grasping that the reason you go out and work as hard as you do is to give you that like feeling of like having something that you're doing it for, and knowing that I'm at home enjoying the day and doing things for the home and for the family. That makes you feel better than knowing that you're out there working hard and then I'm also out there hating life, working too. Like that
Yeah,
doesn't
I don't
feel
like that. It
good.
almost like if I knew that you were doing, like you were putting yourself in a spot where you were working that hard to try to, in a way, keep up with me. It turns our relationship into a fucking competition.
Yeah.
But if I knew that, then it's like it makes me feel pointless. Like it makes like what I'm doing feel empty, and you know whatever. Call me misogynistic. I don't give a fuck, dude. If you don't like what I'm saying, turn it off and go listen to Kesha. Fuck off. But I just know like going out and doing what I do, and you know whatever happens happens. Like just the risk and reward and the like all the ups and downs just makes it worth it. I like being able to envision you being here with the dogs, with the chickens on the property, doing what you want. Like just, you know, doing yoga, reading a book, listening to podcasts, hanging out, going on walks, going down to the lake. I like envisioning that. I don't want to see you sitting here working your ass off trying to, in a way, like I said, compete with me. I don't like that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The way that I grew up with, like, I think I was raised with brothers, and so I think I was raised with a lot of like boy things.
Yeah.
Very competitive. Like everyone is your competition. Like you can't let anyone be better than you. And I lived in that way. Lux is drinking my kombucha. But I found myself in that with you, and it makes no logical sense. You were literally making all the money to pay for this house. I was working all day on my laptop, but like still not paying any of the bills. Like I'm not making hardly any money, but I still had this energy when you got home of like, I worked all day too, and I cleaned the house, and now I'm making dinner. Like it's like an anger and like a resentment that it's like, I have no right to feel that way because I'm not making the money. So why am I working when I don't have to? And trying to also cook and trying to clean and trying to like be like, it's just like
this is what segues into the main point. It's just forcing yourself into a role that is an unnatural role for you to be in.
Yeah, because I understand there's a lot of women that are not in the position I am where they do have to work. Like they don't have a husband that is making money, and whether they have one or not, they might not.
Everything's situational.
Of course.
If you're a single mother and you got to provide for your children, there's nothing wrong with that.
No. And there's nothing wrong. I'm just saying I noticed that even when you were the provider, I still had this energy of like, I'm doing everything because I'm working too. And
it was also like an out of sight, out of mind thing. Just like, you haven't been here all day. I've been here doing this. Like, I almost died 4 times today. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and it's just
I've been
weird.
Home for 6 days.
But like since I've really grasped this and changed this,
basically it turns your relationship into a competition, and that's not how it should be.
And I don't want to be that. I didn't want you to come home from work and me to be like unavailable. Of like, okay, I just got off work too, and now I have to do this, and now I have to take care of the house. Like, I didn't want it to be that way because then we're basically roommates.
Pretty much, yeah.
And that, I think, is where many couples are at. You don't have the energy to like hear about each other's day, or like sit down and have, and like you get home and you're just like tunnel vision, numb. I got to finish doing my last few things. Well, I think this, like, just the way that my body felt when I fully grasped this, which is pretty recent, I like felt an ease of where, like, yes, I still wake up early every day, but I don't wake up with like a feeling of like, you have to go, you have to hurry up and do this. You have to, it's like
Yeah.
I wake up with like an ease of like, everything is getting done. I have time to do the things I need to do. And I feel taken care of.
Yeah.
There's not a stress. And I know that there's a lot of like data coming out of like women's health is really bad right now. And then there's a lot of women in their like mid 20s to mid 30s. They like cannot get pregnant even though they are eating healthy. They've detoxed all the like gross products and fragrances, and it's still not enough. And like, I think everyone is missing the piece of, if you're operating in your masculine, you're not going to be able to get pregnant. Not always, and I'm not saying you're not going to, but if you're someone where that is a goal for you, you have to check your long-term plan. Am I operating in a space where this is going to work long-term? Because I think it's a little bit naive to think that you can do it all, operate as the man, make all the money, bake your sourdough on the weekends, take care of all your pets, have your little homestead.
Pop a kid out, throw him in daycare,
I think
keep the show rolling.
I think it's a little bit naive and delusional.
Yeah.
You have to check. And the reason why is because that's stressful. I just know how I felt, and I was barely even making any money. And I didn't even need to be making money. Like, we weren't in a place where we had to. And I get, like, there's such a stress in that if, like, you have to work that schedule in order to pay your bills. But I think if you find yourself with a health problem.
I'm talking about the young people who have been, like, conned into believing that. And I'm on the flip side of this, as a male, I'm just thinking about it in the same way of, let's pretend you were, you know, the CFO of some Fortune 500 company and you were making all this money, and I was the one who was sitting here hanging out with all the animals just at home. You know, I find that unnatural. My masculinity would drop. I would have no desire to build anything, to be, you know, creating things, and let me clean the house and let me bake this and let me do this. And then, you know, my wife gets home after her 3-day business trip, and now all of a sudden, you know, I'm supposed to want to be intimate. It's like, no, as a male, your sex drive drops, your sense of masculinity drops, your confidence in yourself drops. Like, you know, it's not natural.
I would hate to hear this, but the woman who is like the major boss, she's running shit. You can totally do that, but when you get home, if you have a husband, you're probably not gonna want to, like, I would be disgusted. I would be like, this little piece of shit is a waste of space.
Yeah,
don't need him. He does nothing. Like, you're not attracted. Like,
No.
there's no attraction. You want, like, it's just not. And I think that's a natural, and that's the thing. I couldn't understand, how would you be attracted to me if I'm that energy? But it's because it's like your natural being. It feels natural and healthy and right. Doesn't mean I don't know how, or I can't, or I'm incapable. Just means I don't need to be doing that.
What I said in the beginning, it's like, I disagree with the people that are saying, like, you're a woman, you need to be here, you need to be doing it. It's like, no, like, we can go outside and, you know, we can all do the same things. It's not that I'm saying you're not capable of doing it. It's just, that's not what comes natural to you. And if you want to step outside the box and you want to try this out a little, that's fine, whatever. But to completely change places and accept that as normal and expect to be able to procreate and build a family and have a successful life I think it's reaching.
And I think a lot of people are finding themselves in that where, like, as women, like, we've been trained when we were young, my age, to like be so competitive, never rely on a man, take care of yourself. So I think now a lot of women kind of have taken over the world, and it's great.
Yeah.
I love to see it, but
It's
at the
cool.
same time, it makes me very sad when those same women are then struggling with health or fertility or identity, like all of these things. And I think this is a huge piece because we kind of have been scammed on this like fear of being normal and traditional, when like if it feels really good to do that, you shouldn't fight against it.
Yeah.
But because of all that's happening, I think a lot of men do kind of feel pushed out, and so I'm seeing a lot of men that are like really intrigued by like, oh well, she makes so much money, I'll just stay home and I'll just take care of the kids and I'll just clean the house. And I think that sounds nice, but I think there's like maybe your marriage or your relationship, I don't see, like, not for everyone, of course, everyone has to figure out what would work for them. There has to be a lot of communication between the couple. But I think for the mass majority of women and men, the men are going to feel emasculated and the women are going to feel like, I don't need you at all. You're a waste of space. Let me go find someone hotter, richer, because I can. And I think that's sad for the family when you're like totally like disillusioned, where like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, and I could speak because I'm part of it. I mean, I could pull up the article right now and look it up, but I mean, the biggest industry that's struggling right now is where I'm at in the trades, is because of like the weird backwards indoctrination that has come from a lot of education and like colleges, high schools, whatever. Like the numbers in the last like 20 years have dropped for like people retiring out of like trade unions versus people coming in. And I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I mean, it works out for me because I'm in it, because like, you know, the prices they're going to be paying people are going to go through the roof. But it's just sad to see that like even men have been like conned into believing that they should just shut up and sit in the back seat and find a wife that is like aspiring to be a Jeff Bezos and settle down with her. And if you do that and you're happy, that's fine. But like to me, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel natural. And it's not to say that like you can do whatever you do here, and if you hit it rich and you make us $37 billion tomorrow off your newsletter, that's fantastic. That's great. That's cool. Selling recipes, selling books. That's cool.
To abundance, but
I'm not here to say I'm the only guy who can pull in money here.
I'm just saying the way that I think about making money, like I don't need to be in a 9 to 5 or as a teacher 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. I don't have to do that.
It's all just to like prove that like I can do what you can do, if not better than you can do it. It's like, why are we doing it this way? Like, let me go do what comes natural to me. Let me be the guy that gets 4 hours of sleep for the next 3 days. It's not good. It's not great. Let me be the person. But when you do it and then expect to be able to bring a child into the world on the same diet and sleep schedule and everything and the stress and whatever, it just doesn't work out. And then everyone wants to blame everything else. They want to blame men, women, the education system, hospitals, medication. You want to blame everything, including your parents and whatever God you believe in. Everyone wants to blame something. In all reality, it's because you've been tricked into believing that it's perfectly normal to change your role. It's not. It's not natural. It doesn't come natural. And, it just, that's my opinion.
I think the biggest thing for
I don't care if it offends you.
I keep on coming back to like, I am living like my dream, and it's crazy because I didn't think this could happen for me, especially like when I was on the path of like gotta go to school, go to college, have a career, and like I just saw a very like mundane existence, and things keep on happening where it's like I opened the door for it, and it's like, wow, I can have that reality. And I think many people are living in this of like, must be nice for them, must be nice for you. And it's like, well, if you don't like your job, like there is another way, and people are gonna hate that coming from me of like, you don't even have a job, like, must be nice, you, like, I get it, but like, I thought the same thing a couple years ago, and it just, even if you are like a woman who's like, I want to make tons of money, you can do that, and I think it's crazy, and I'm not of the camp that like women shouldn't be allowed to do anything. You should be allowed to do whatever the heck
Do
you
whatever you
want.
want. It just, I don't have to agree with it.
But I think you have to move through business, move through career, knowing that you don't have to be men, and there are going to be consequences for your health in all areas if you do exist.
That's the whole
that way.
point. Is like,
Yeah.
I think you should be free to do whatever you want. If you're a dude that wants to sit at home and have a lady that goes out and makes all the money, that's fine. But don't expect like to, have the same type of manhood as someone who goes out and is a logger and drops trees and, almost dies 15 times a day to make enough money so that he can put a roof over his wife and kid's head. I You're free to do whatever you want. It's your world. The world is your oyster, man. Do whatever you want. But don't expect to be, in that same headspace that guy's in if you're just the guy who's going to sit at home and bake fucking banana bread all day and play Call of Duty. You're not the same. It's reality. Nothing's wrong with that. I don't agree with it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Do whatever you want to do. But it's what frustrates me about it is the way that people have been tricked into believing that it's actually better to do it this way. And anyone who tells you different, they're sexist, they're misogynist, they're just trying to get in your way and discourage you from finding your natural path. It's just, I mean, like I said, you're free to do whatever you want to do, but don't expect to be as satisfied and happy and content as we are.
Or have like the same love between you guys.
Yeah, the same like relationship
Yeah.
dynamic. Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
think resentment is going to build whenever you're living out of alignment with
Yeah.
like your true nature. That's kind of like the
100%.
biggest thing I keep on realizing with all things, with
Yeah.
like diet, with lifestyle, relationships to your friends, your partner, yourself.
Yeah.
Like when you are out of alignment from your true nature, you're going to have problems that are going to come up. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But if you've been like conditioned to believe that
And
what
we
you're doing
have.
is right, then you're going to go even further off the rails and start to blame the people around you for why you're not satisfied with the choices that you made. It's like you were just brainwashed into believing that what you're doing is right.
Well,
I could go way
that's what I'm
off
saying.
topic
I
and
don't-
say really offensive things 'cause I have this same kind of ideology applies to a lot of different lifestyle choices that people make.
What's happened is like toxic masculinity has scared men of like, oh, I need to like sit back and be reserved. And then that the narrative of toxic masculinity. And then for women, we've been sold this narrative of like, you need to beat all the men and be the boss and be better than them and do it all because you can do it all. And these narratives are very damaging. And I think that leads to a lot of like, we don't have to go too into it, but like there's so many people that are suffering deeply, and a lot of men, what is expressed as toxic masculinity, what is seen as that, is like what I heard, which I think is kind of cool, is like toxic femininity, because they're having like emotional outbursts.
Who said that? I said that?
No, I said that to you the other day.
Yes.
I heard that.
Yeah.
I think like that's like and
There's a spectrum.
but they're like, it's just like everyone expresses emotions, but the unhinged emotional human is more of a feminine trait, which all humans embody masculine and feminine traits. What I'm saying is a lot of people are leaning in too far of the opposite for like the majority of their life. And the reason is because normally men express emotion as anger and women express emotion as like sadness, but all of it is like emotional outbursts. That's more of like a toxic feminine trait. But men are like bottling exploding, and then they're scared
you're
to be
demonized
seen.
for
They're
it
scared to be
when you
seen
do it.
as the toxic
And
masculine.
it's not okay to punch a hole in the wall, but it's just as not okay for a chick that sits there and cries about an ex-boyfriend every time she goes out with her friends to brunch or something like that. It's the same idea.
Yeah.
It's just a human being that doesn't have control over their emotions. That's simply it. And I don't know. I just think basically there's too many people being conned into believing. And I have, I could throw my tinfoil hat on right now. I got a lot of conspiracies about the reasons why all this is happening. But either way, it is a reality that people are being lied to and brainwashed into thinking that what comes natural, your natural instincts to provide or to be a wife at home and to raise children or to go out and risk your life or whatever it is, you're like tricked into believing that that's not okay, and you're displaying like toxic masculinity, or like if you're a chick that's like, no, I want to stay home, I want to have my kids and have a husband that provides.
You're going to be oppressed.
Oh, then you're oppressed and you have no ability to move around in life on your own, and you have no thoughts, and you're just going to let a man control you. It's like everyone's being brainwashed into thinking before they've even experienced it for yourself. If you've gone out there and you've been in that position, then sure, I get it. I understand. You make perfect sense. You were in a relationship where a dude controlled all the money and he told you have to dress this way, act this way. You can't talk to anyone. You can't leave the house. Yeah, that's fucked up. Yeah, I'm sorry that happened to you. I understand. But it's like people are being brainwashed into this at like 15 years old before they even have a car to drive, before they have a job, before they have anything. They're brainwashed into thinking like, my parents are idiots because my dad has a job, my mom stayed home with us. My parents are stupid. Why do they do things that way? I'm way smarter than them.
That's true.
It's like, dude, whatever you want to do it. But I don't know.
That is literally, I don't know where, and it's weird because I can't think, it's so covert, I guess, because I can't think of anyone ever saying it to my face of like, it's not okay.
No, it's a slow burn.
It's like all like, what do you want to be when you grow up? If you say a mom, they would be like, no, career. What career do you want when you grow up? It's like just little things of like, oh, that's not a thing then. Like you can't just like be a mom. Yeah. It's just wild, but I think that's what I'm new to this because I got all the training and indoctrination too that like but I just feel like such a different level of like ease, love. Our relationship feels better. Like it's always been good, but I noticed like the little moments of like during the week where it felt like we needed a weekend to reconnect. And I feel like there's a little bit less of that now that I'm trying to like step more into like what feels right and not being so crazy disciplined and strict and hard on myself of like you have to do this, that, and like giving myself the craziest schedule to try to compete with everyone just so that like when I go to a family dinner and they ask, what are you up to? I'm like, oh, I'm doing this and that, and I have this going on, and I have this book coming out, and I am also working
you're trying
9 hours a day. Like, instead of just being like I don't know why. It's
just, trying to prove,
Instead
of trying to prove something.
What are you up to? Just
hanging out. I just laid in the hammock for the last 4 hours reading a book.
People don't like that answer.
They don't like the answer. You know why? Because it's jealousy. That's why.
It's available for everyone, hopefully. Just
you create your own opportunities.
Yeah.
You're the author of your own book.
Well, this could have been highly offensive, but we're unpacking it ourselves too. Everything you're offended by, I probably would have been offended by too, like last year. So I get it. And
once again, just like when you're driving down the road, if you don't like the song that comes on the radio, change the station. Yeah. Don't waste your fucking time complaining about me.
Yes. Well,
just put this one in your saved folder, hang on to it for a year, and then come back to it if you're offended about it. Or just turn it off.
To be in the feminine, be the wife, be the dog mom, the chicken mom, the homesteading queen.
The chicken mom.
I'm loving it. I don't understand whoever the scam that they told us that this is being oppressed. I don't know everyone's situation. Don't get mad at me if you really are in trouble or out of your power. But I feel personally scammed that I was ever told, or ever the way that I ever felt that it was not okay
Yeah.
to live this way.
What she said.
And communication, because I still worry that, like, I feel bad that you have to work so much and I don't. So we just always keep on talking about it.
Yeah.
Make sure we're good. Make sure you're not lying to
You good?
my face.
You're good?
You're actually happy. Yeah.
I'm good too.
Okay. I could not be waking up at the times you do, in the dirt, all the things you do.
It just comes natural.
Well,
This is why I do it right here.
the little dogs. We should put the camera lower so they could see the dogs.
What if I could tilt it a little bit?
This is how we are, hanging out all day, every day, sleeping, walking.
They had an hour and a half outing, and they're already ready to go to sleep.
So healthy, so fun. Cheers to the family. The family. The traditional family.
Traditional, colonial, pioneer family dynamic.